There is a limit to how much you can cut, but there is no limit to how much you can earn. And at some point in your journey to building wealth, you might find yourself in a position where increasing your income is the only option to go up. So let's take a look at 6 different ways to increase your income. Those will cover both active and passive income, and let's also take a look at their pros and their cons. The average millionaire has 7 different streams of income, and on our way to financial freedom, we want to diversify our income streams as well. Now, you don't have to have the 7 streams of income right away, but you should know what the options are so you can start building them up. Now, you have probably one main source of income, and there's several ways to leverage that. So we're going to start with that. Now, there is a way to do the same you're already doing, but to earn more, and that is to ask for a raise. Now, the bold way would be to just go to your boss and say it, but that's a huge psychological hurdle, especially when it comes out of the blue, and I'm not sure how good your chances are either. So the better way is to show them your value. And I will quote a blog post from Ramit Sethi on this. So the first thing would be to ask what would be an ideal outcome within the next 3 months. And then you track your progress, and you also write down what value you bring to the company. You also follow up in between, check in with your boss, show the results you already have, and ask what you could do even better. And then what you also do, you research a specific number of salary you would like to have. You practice the negotiation beforehand with your friends. And then finally, after 3 months, you make the appointment and you go ask for the raise with this exact number. There is a brilliant blueprint for this from Ramit Sethi. I will link it in the video description. Now, the pro is that you get more for something you already do and you learn something on top, which is negotiation. The only con I can see is that it still might be your only source of income, so don't forget to diversify. And I also think that there's a subcategory here, and that is to get promoted. Now, there might be certain positions in your company that you would like to reach and that automatically come with a higher salary. And in this case, I would say just proceed the same. Ask what it would take to get there and then do it. But in case this doesn't move forward, so you keep putting in the work, but your boss or your employer is stalling, and you don't get the raise or the promotion, then I think you should consider leaving, especially when you really want to make a career out of this. And I mean, if you don't, that's also fine, then you can just wait for the other options. If the raise isn't happening, there's an equally easy option, at least in case this is available at your job, and this is to take on extra hours. I, for example, am a doctor, and what I could do if I wanted to make more money, I could take on some extra shifts. Now, from my perspective, this is not the preferred way because we simply work more for the same rate. So this should not be a long-term goal, but it is a good way to make some extra cash in the short term, for example, to hit a certain goal. So the pro here is it's quick money. The con, you're still trading time for money. And in a way, we are always paid for time. But when we get paid per hour, there's only so much more extra hours and shifts we can take on. Because the day is only 24 hours and the week has only 7 days. So what we actually want is more money for less time. And one way that is still active income, but that can lead to a real jump in salary, is to switch jobs. For example, when you're a consultant or a lawyer, you can switch from one firm to the next. Now, from what I've heard, you can make way bigger jumps with this than with a raise. But it also depends on your industry, so do your research if it's really the case. Ask around, maybe even apply and check. And I think here's also a kind of a subcategory, which is not just to switch jobs, and that is to switch the industry or your position. For example, you maybe could find something where you get paid commission-based. For example, in sales. Then you don't get paid per hour, but for what you put out. And the beauty of this is that you can make way more money within the same time or less, if it's your thing. So the pro of switching is you can make more money with the same time. And also here the only con I can see is that it's still your main income source. Next, we are staying with active work, but we are leaving the employment territory. And what you can do is do something you already do, but offer it as freelance work. I talked to a friend recently who's a psychiatrist, and she's still in training, so doing the residency. And she made this extra certificate where now she can take on patients on her own. So next to her full-time job in the hospital, she can see patients like in private and charge for that. And it's nice because she can even take patients with her that come out of the hospital and want to stay with her. So you could also look for clients where you already work. That's the easiest way. And then depending on your profession, you could offer coaching, or you could offer services, or you could also offer making products. And for that, you can either use your skills from your main job, or you can also use other skills. Maybe you have a hobby where you're really good at, and then you can tutor someone or train someone else. Now the pros here are that you're leveraging something you already do, and because you're doing it on your own, you can charge more, you can literally set the price. You can also decide who to work with, and this freelance thing in general comes with a lot of flexibility, so you can decide when to work and from where to work, and you also have 100% of the profit. Now the cons are when you're doing it beside your full-time job, it's extra hours you have to put in, and you might also deal with regulatory tax stuff because you have an extra income now. But that's actually the case with all the extra income streams on the side. Now when I ask another friend at work what she wants to become when she's grown up, so you know, this kind of a long-term perspective question, and her answer was, you know what, I think actually I would like to be a privatier. So someone who lives off of their investments alone. So investments are our next income stream. And there were like 5-ish ways to make money from investments. So there's capital gain, all the assets you buy at a certain price and then sell later for a higher price, then you will have the capital gain. There is dividend income, so when you own stocks that pay a dividend, not all companies do. There is rental income, the old-fashioned way would be real estate, but you can also rent out smaller items, like for example your car or gear. There are platforms where you can do that and you can earn some extra income. There is also interest income, so when you invest in bonds or you have your money in savings accounts or money market accounts. You can also earn interest from personal loans, so when you give it to someone you know, or also through platforms for P2P lending. And you can also have business profits, so when you own parts of a business and you get a share of the company's profits. Now the pros here are, I think investments are probably the purest form of passive income because you buy the thing once and then it makes you money. Okay, except maybe for real estate where you might have to invest a little bit more time. The cons with investments is that there is risk and you also have to invest a lot of money to get out a lot of money. And number 6 is to start a side hustle. Now that's basically everything you do besides your main job to earn some extra money and also requires to put in some effort. So I would exclude investments out of this. Now I assume the reason it's called a side hustle is because you started besides your main job and you have to put in a lot of work, to get it off the ground, but eventually maybe later you can make it your main hustle, if you want to call it, if that's what fulfills you. That's why I would say extra hours doesn't count as a side hustle, but freelance work definitely does, because maybe you start out with a few clients, but then once you've built your base, you can start live off of that. Now, ideally, the idea of a side hustle is to create something and then sell it over and over again. So it's not directly tied to your time anymore. So that would be some sort of passive income. And this, for example, could be digital products like an ebook or a guide. This could also be online products or physical products like a real book or some kind of e-commerce. Now the level of entry here is quite low because to create something is actually very easy these days. The difficulty is in distributing it in a way that makes you enough money. But if you get there, you could ultimately build a business out of this. So the cons here are, obviously, if it were that easy, everyone would do it and succeed. But either way, I think no matter what your goals and no matter what comes out of it, and those are the pros, there was a ton of stuff you learn from starting anything on the side. So even if you start something and you abandon it later because you find out it's just not your thing, you will have learned a lot that might even help you in your current job. So there are many different videos about starting a side hustle here on YouTube. You can check them out for some inspiration. To increase your income out of investments, you need a good system to save and invest. For that, I've linked a video for you here where I go into detail about my saving system. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. I hope you got something out of this, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!